Well, it stands to reason, doesn't it? On Merseyside, you'd expect to find Liverpool Specials. But would you really expect to find quite so many others? Could you have guessed that, as well as the Specials, there are 19 first national standards, 4 Penfolds, 41 anonymous high apertures, a handful of anonymous low apertures, and believe it or not, 1 early fluted. Only 1. But to anyone who knows anything about pillar boxes, it's quite unmistakable. You'll notice the vertical slip and the elegant fluting, and the fact that the door is in the back. This pillar box has been standing here on this corner in Birkenhead since 1857, and it's probably the oldest pillar box in regular use anywhere in the British Isles. It may even be the oldest in the world. It seems that as a nation, we've only just woken up to our priceless heritage as far as pillar boxes are concerned. Up until last October, the postal authorities knew the whereabouts of only 26 vintage pillar boxes, ones that date from the 1850s up till 1900. And now, thanks to a handful of pillar box enthusiasts, they've recorded the whereabouts of 133. The great pillar box hunt started with a competition run by the Post Office magazine. They offered small money prizes to anyone who reported the whereabouts of these historic boxes. The response was overwhelming. As the editorial of last month's Post Office magazine reports, an earl and an engine driver, doctors and clergymen, pensioners and children, postmen and telephonists have all been busy pillar box spotting. We've learned of a 6-sided Penfold box in Pakistan, a Victorian pillar box in Natal, but it's Liverpool which has produced the greatest variety of finds. And the man who's been responsible for finding them is a Post Office inspector, Mr Harold McLaughlin.
Mr McLaughlin's job gives him a special responsibility for pillar boxes, and where his duty ends, his private passion for them takes over. He's found 19 of these first national standard boxes in Liverpool. It was a design authorised by the Postmaster General in 1858, and the first standard design for the whole of the British Isles. But it wasn't good enough for Liverpool. The postmaster here didn't like it, and so he had 7 like this made to his own design. This is one of the 3 remaining Liverpool Specials, the only homemade boxes still surviving in the British Isles. But even Liverpool couldn't complain about the look of this hexagonal box, designed by J.W. Penfold in 1865 and named after him. But there were plenty of complaints about its performance. Letters got caught up in its corners, and so in 1878 the Penfold was replaced by this round box known as the anonymous high aperture. Anonymous because it carries no royal cipher or any words to indicate who it belongs to or what it's for. In 1883, after complaints that large letters got stuck in its lid, it was modified to become the anonymous low aperture box. 4 years later, anonymity was cast to the winds, and the Post Office admitted responsibility for all its boxes. Everyone since then has carried the royal cipher and the words Post Office. Merseyside certainly looks after its postal heritage. Apart from the tender attentions of Mr McLaughlin, its pillar boxes are also cosseted by Mr Emil Vivis. Mr Vivis has 1,500 of them to look after all over Merseyside. For 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, he drives around on his errands of mercy. He's on call from his home 24 hours a day, and he never refuses to go out. Sometimes, naughty children drop matches or fireworks into pillar boxes, and if Mr Vivis beats the fire engine to the blaze, he'll try to put it out and save the mail. And although he carries a workshop in his van, he has no firefighting equipment, so he does his best with almost any means, except urination. That's forbidden by the Post Office because it destroys letters and renders them objectionable to the receiver. Mr Vivis has a mental picture of every pillar box on Merseyside, and he's the first to report to Mr McLaughlin if vintage boxes seem to be in danger.
We didn't get our standard penny postal service until 1840, and even then there were no post boxes. You either handed your letter in to a collecting office or you gave it to the bellman. Bellman was a colourful figure, a sort of perambulating postbox, wearing a scarlet tailcoat and blue trousers, and carrying a locked leather bag with a hole in it for posting letters. For a consideration of 1 penny, he'd take the letters to the collecting office for you. The man who did him out of a job was called Anthony Trollope, the same one who wrote all those books. In 1852, he made some recommendations about improving the postal services in the Channel Islands, and this was one of them. All that's wanted, he wrote, is a safe receptacle for letters. Iron posts suited for the purpose may be erected at the corner of streets or in such situations as may be desirable. Well, this revolutionary idea was approved. 7 pillar boxes were set up in Guernsey and Jersey, and very soon the idea spread to the mainland. Now there are 90,000 pillar boxes throughout the United Kingdom, and there are thousands more in odd corners of the world. Reminders of that empire on which the sun never set. There's a Penfold 7,000 feet up in the Himalayas, and I myself have seen another one in the middle of the Malayan jungle. But there is one pillar box in Liverpool that's unique. What's the history of this little box, Mr. McLaughlin? How is it there's only one like it?
Well, this was put in the ground in 1890, when this area was Liverpool's children's orphanage. And in those days, the wisdom of somebody made the whole village was made specially for children, and the postmaster, or I presume the postmaster at that time, made them a special pillar box. Hence, it's the only one.
But how come it's now, been in use by the general public?
Well, years ago, originally, the roadway was railing it off. They had railings on the end, you see, but they took them away to let the children have a better aspect on life. They were normal, they were living in normal houses. So we gave them the pillar box and the public used it.
Do you really think that the general public care tuppence about these old boxes, whether the old boxes stay or go?
Oh, yes. We've attempted several times to move some of these old boxes, and we've been actually stopped by the local people. The Chancellor of Liverpool University won't let us move his old box. The one outside the Liverpool Cathedral, they won't let us use. They won't let us dispose of. They say it fits in with the buildings. And that's it.
What do you think is the greatest danger to these old boxes?
Well, they're wearing out, unfortunately, and it costs us a lot to keep in good order.